The oven is preheated to 375 degrees.
That'll take about 5 to 6 minutes in the oven. I'll make a little liaison with cornstarch. I'm just taking a little touch of cornstarch, a little bit of water, and I'll just barely thicken this sauce just a touch because it's to the point that it's good for me.
The stuffed mushrooms are presented with wilted spinach.
Ah, voila. It's done. I like to cook them cap side down. The caps get a little bit crispy. Just flip the mousse over just to ensure that it's fully cooked all the way through. Thank you. We'll take just a little nougat of butter, work it into the sauce to enrich it, and it gives it a shine and a gloss. Voila, monsieur, voila. And just a touch of sauce, just enough to accent the dish. You don't want to drown things in your sauce. It's just a highlight, just a little tweak.
At taping time, Gary Danko was the executive chef at the highly regarded Ritz-Carlton San Francisco. In 1997, the dining room was recipient of Gourmet Magazine's Top Table Award from the Reader's Poll. Chef Danko's entree is steamed Moroccan-style salmon served with a saffron sauce.
Okay, so today we're going to do the steamed Moroccan salmon. Now, this is a beautiful salmon here. It weighs about 12 pounds. This is a Canadian salmon. And right here you can see the fins here. That one's cut off, but the fins here. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this into steaks. This is a very readily available cut in all supermarkets. You can see the quality and the size, which is nice, but this is how how we get the steaks. What you want to do is lift this up and then basically cut down to the backbone where I am right now. And we're just going to cut through the belly flap. This is the belly flap here. And then we're going to go with a little one thrust right through the backbone, and we're going to sever right through here. Okay, so then you have, you can see a good view of it. As you notice, this is the salmon steak which you get in the stores. So what you want to do is cut this anywhere from 3/4 to an inch. Again, you can watch the motion. I'm going through here, cutting through this belly flap, and then we're going to go one thrust again through the bone. Okay, so imagine that you went to the supermarket and you got your salmon medallion. Basically, there are two identical fillets here. Here's the backbone which we cut through. And I'm going to show you how to make a darn or just a little fillet here. What you want to do is enter at the backbone here, like this, and then cut across this way. And you want to just put some pressure on this and very slowly just tease this belly flap, which is exactly what it is, off and then down. Then you want to cut through the backbone, go all the way over here, and then the salmon is going to lay flat. And then you want to take your knife and basically just following. Literally, I'm following the fat of the fish right now, and it's coming off very easily. So what you end up with is a beautiful darn or fillet, as we call it in America. So also, there's going to be a few bones here. You see one here and one here. You can either use pliers to remove these, or you can use the back of your knife. Basically, just take it and then pull the bone out. You want to do as little tearing as possible. Okay, so then the next step we're going to do is we're going to marinate it in the mixture. So I'll just quickly show you the medallion shape here. Okay. So basically, this is what we want, the medallion shape right here. Okay, so now we're going to work on the salmon. We went through the boning of the medallion. Now we're going to make the marinade, and this is actually what we call a charmoula in Moroccan cooking. And charmoula is meant primary for fish. And using the spices in here we have some freshly ground cumin seed, very aromatic. We have some paprika, a pinch of cayenne. We have some salt. And then we have some saffron. Also here, a beautiful thing of saffron, very expensive, but this spice, a little goes a long way and is, it's really a beautiful flavor. Then also we have some chopped cilantro and then some chopped parsley. These are all what we call aromatics, and they're going to go into, I have a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. So all of this is just gonna go in here. This is harissa, which is basically, it has sort of the same ingredients here. It's basically hot peppers, etc. If you cannot find harissa, then we have a beautiful American product, Tabasco, which works equally as well. So there are equivalents that you can use in this. So what we're going to do is just mix this up to get it all mixed. You want to make sure you don't have a big pocket of harissa or cayenne pepper sitting in one area. It would be quite a surprise. And then we're going to literally just coat, we're going to coat the filet with a little bit of this. And what this is going to do is flavor it and basically give it a very good flavor. Cumin is one of my favorite spices with salmon. The flavors just seem to mix beautifully. So again, we're going to reshape the medallion, which is just holding this very tight and then putting this together. So what we're going to do is we have some blanched spinach here. We're just going to move this over here, and then we are going to fold it into a little packet. And that's done just by pulling these leaves over the salmon. And because we're going to steam this, what it's going to also do is keep in that little pocket of flavor and then juices. So here we have a nice little medallion, and then we're going to move it over to the steamer, which is right over here. So what I have here is just a Chinese steamer, very simple. There's a plate in here to keep all the juices from falling. We're just going to put the lid on this and then move it over to the pot of boiling water, which is right over here. And this is going to steam for about 5 minutes.
Saffron sauce contains shallot, bay leaf, thyme, saffron, a reduction of white wine, fish stock, clam juice, and heavy cream. It's finished with butter. The sauce is strained before service.
Okay, so we're ready to finish it. I have my plate here, and what we're going to do is just put a few spoons of sauce here. Again, this is just to sort of finish it and give the dish a little more finesse, as we like to do in the restaurant. And then you can move your medallions into place here. So just with the corner of your little spatula, just pick these up and put them right here. If you'd like this to be an appetizer, one does very nicely. They're about 3 ounces each. This is an entree plate, which we do in the restaurant, so we basically want to do that. Also, to finish the plate, we have some chives here, which I've chopped on a slant to give a slight Asian. And sort of finish it and give it some more textural aspects is to put some of these fried carrot chips on here. And you don't want to have too many, but you just want to set them on top here. It's a nice little start to open up and eat the dish. So this is basically our steamed Moroccan salmon with couscous, which has a little bit of chopped lemon rind in it that's been blanched. Or you could use the preserved lemons of Morocco, which are delicious. So enjoy.
Alan Sayers is a Native American who was born on the Red Lake Reservation in northern Minnesota. He developed an interest in cooking sort of informally, then in 1987 applied for a job at Goodfellows in Minneapolis. He was hired as a dishwasher and has moved up to pastry chef. Here's his fruit soup.
Today we're going to be making a summer berry soup, which I'll make a simple syrup first for the fruit to macerate in, which is, I'll take this is 2.5 cups of water, and this is half cup of fresh orange juice. Use your hand as a strainer. Okay. Also, they're gonna put five-star anise. And some ginger. The ginger's been cleaned and sliced. Gonna add that in. And 2 cinnamon sticks. You break that, release the flavor. Okay, we're just gonna put it on the fire. We're gonna bring that to a boil, and I'm gonna let it steep for 10 minutes. Simmer for 10 minutes, and then remove out the heat and let it sit overnight, chill overnight in the refrigerator, or in an ice bath. Okay, to assemble all the different fruits, I got some blueberries here. Some raspberries. And some pitted cherries, cherry pitter, and sliced in half. And these are some nectarines that I peeled with the vegetable peeler. Missing the core. You simply slice. Some plum. You seem to like plums at this restaurant. It's the summertime. Awfully right. Okay. And we're going to pour our cooled juice over the fruit. Let that macerate. Also do some fresh cut strawberries into it.
Cover and refrigerate overnight.
This is a grape leaf that one of the chefs has grown in his backyard. They brought to work for us. You'll use a doily. Okay, we have some, it's going to be with sesame brittle ice cream. It's going to be in the soup also. You can make sesame brittle and then fold it into vanilla ice cream, which we've done here. It's a finished product. And there you go. Fruit martini.
Welcome to Great Chefs, a culinary tour of the United States featuring some of the country's finest chefs.
first course today comes from Portland, Oregon, and Chef John Pence. He offers a version of veal sweetbreads with a balsamic mustard seed sauce and a roasted shallot garnish. For the entree, we travel to the Fancy City Grill in Atlanta. Chef Roger Kaplan serves soft-shell crab with a yellow tomato vinaigrette and lobster slaw. Finally, dessert is prepared by Marty Blitz from his Tampa, Florida restaurant Mise en Place. It is mojo sabayon served in phyllo cup with strawberry guava hot pepper coulis. John Pence, with his wife Capriel, is co-owner and chef of Westmoreland Bistro and Wines in Portland. He worked in several Seattle restaurants, including Fuller's at the Sheraton Hotel, before coming to Portland. His hefty appetizer is veal sweetbreads with mustard balsamic demi-glace and roasted shallots. The sweetbreads are first poached with aromatics.
I'm going to finish it with some bay leaf and some peppercorns. And all I'm going to do is just bring this up to a boil and they're done.
This is a mirepoix of coarsely chopped onion, celery, carrot, and garlic.
Now while the sweetbreads are poaching, I'm going to roast some shallots in the oven. And all I do is just peel them like this. And I put them in a pan with about 1/4 inch of olive oil. And I'm just going to fill this pan with shallots, and I'm going to roast it in an oven about 350 to 375 degrees, covered with foil or a top. Make sure the shallots are nice and covered with the olive oil. Like I said, you can put a piece of foil on it or cover it with something else. And I'm just going to put another pan on it just like that. And place it in the oven.
350 degrees for 45 minutes. After the sweetbreads are poached, they are cooled and sautéed.
Now when your sweetbreads are done, they're going to have kind of a grayish tint to them. They're going to be nice and firm. Now when you have your sweetbreads, there's a couple ways you can cook them. I like to leave them whole like this, but I like to take off some of the membrane that's on here. These particular sweetbreads are pretty clean already, and there's not a lot of the membrane, but some of them have a lot of it on it, and this is something you want to take off. And when you take the sweetbreads, all I'm going to do is dust them in a little bit of flour with some salt and pepper. Like so. So when your pan is hot, add your sweetbreads.
Sautéed in olive oil.
And just let them sit there, and we want to get them brown on both sides. We're going to get them brown on both sides. I'm going to transfer them to another pan, and I'm going to cook them in the oven for about 15-20 minutes. And cook them all the way through. When the sweetbreads are browned, I'm going to transfer them to another pan. we're going to finish them in the oven.
The sauce is started with chopped shallot.
We're going to add our balsamic vinegar. And our red wine. About equal amounts of each one. Then I have some mustard seeds I'm going to add. And what you want to do is when you're making the sauce, you want your liquid to reduce to there's almost nothing left. And then we're going to add a demi-glace. Now I made a demi-glace here ahead of time, and all that is a veal stock that's made, prepared ahead of time, and reduced. By reducing it, you're going to really enhance the flavor. It's going to be really nice and potent. It's going to be an excellent demi-glace. That's what a demi-glace is. It's a stock reduced by half. So once this reduces down, I'm going to add the demi-glace. And then we're going to let this cook down. Now when the demi-glace is reduced, I add a little bit of cream. And we let that reduce down. When you add cream, it doesn't matter if your liquid that you're boiling is hot, because the cream won't curdle like if you're adding milk. Now you can see that the cream is reduced down and the sauce is starting to get thick. So we're going to finish it off with a little bit of mustard, some Dijon mustard, just about a tablespoon. A little bit of butter. We're going to whisk that in.
The sauce is strained.
The butter also adds in help thickening the sauce, and just adds that little touch more flavor to it. I'm going to remove the shallots from the oven. You see how they're nice and brown. Strain off some of the oil off of them. Just place them right on the plate. Our sweetbread should be just about finished. Pull those from the oven. Just like so. I took some red onions before, and I just charred them off for a little bit of garnish. And if you have any fresh herbs in your garden, garnish with that. I have a little bit of savory.
After graduation from the CIA, Roger Kaplan worked in several Washington, D.C. restaurants, then stints in Virginia and Dallas. He helped open the St. Martin resort La Samana as executive sous chef, then came to the City Grill in 1993. His entree is soft-shell crab with a tomato sauce and lobster slaw. The vinaigrette is started by softening garlic, onions, celery, and shallots.
The vegetables have been sauteed, so they're tender now. We're going to add white wine. And allow that to reduce. So when our wine is reduced down, we've taken out some of all the excess alcohol out of it. We're going to add our tomatoes. And we're also going to add some water. And then we're going to add fresh basil. And because we're going to blend this, we don't really have to chop it up. And then we have some thyme that we've taken the stems off also. We'll season with some salt and black pepper. And we'll allow this to simmer until the tomatoes have become very tender and the liquid has reduced itself down.
The mixture is then blended.
Always start a blender with hot liquids on slow, please. That way you don't decorate your ceilings. Right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the blender back on and we're going to slowly add our champagne vinegar that's here and about a half a cup of canola oil. So we'll do that. Now we'll prepare the lobster coleslaw. We need to add the cabbage that we've finely shredded. We have spinach that's also finely shredded. A nice julienne of carrots. Sticks. If you don't want to take the time to do the sticks, you can grate them on a box grater. It will have the same flavor. Okay. We also have a nice julienne of red onion. And we have some julienne tomatoes.
Pre-cooked lobster is roughly chopped.
Add that in. We're going to take 1 lemon. We'll zest the outside and get the lemon zest. And then we want the juice from this side, inside. And watch out for seeds. Okay. To this now we'll add some canola oil, salt, and black pepper. And we want to toss this well.
The chef prepares 2 soft-shell crabs. One is cut in half and the other cooked whole.
We're going to take flour with salt and pepper to season it. And we're going to place our soft shells in there and dredge them. And then we're going to dip them in buttermilk. We'll shape off the excess flour and place them in. We want to coat those well, and then we're going to place them back into the flour again.
The crabs are cooked in a preheated cast iron skillet with a ½ inch of canola oil.
Always add the stuff to the pan away from you, so if it splashes, you now we're going to cook both sides.
Presentation begins by mirroring the plating with the tomato vinaigrette.
Spoon some on and basically swirl the plate so it'll mirror the whole surface. Place it there. We place our large soft shell that we have not cut in half, the belly side up here, and we place these that way and that way. These legs here will become the holder for our slaw. And you can weave the legs in if they don't want to stand very well. You then grab a nice amount of the slaw and start to pile it at the center. Make sure you put all the lobster goodies at the top. And then we'll garnish it with chichos.
Mise en Place is a popular bistro in Tampa that features the cooking of Marty Blitz. Raised in Detroit, he is a CIA graduate and earned a Rising Star Award from the Beard Society. His dessert, prepared in the turbulent hullabaloo of lunch prep, is mojo sabayon in phyllo dough.
All right, this dish is dessert. It's a mojo sabayon with a phyllo basket that is made with Brazil nuts. And it has a strawberry guava serrano pepper sauce to go with it, and a fresh fruit garnish. We'll start with the phyllo. What we want to do is lay a sheet down, butter it pretty generously. We're going to sprinkle our mixture of Brazil nuts that have been lightly toasted, blended with granulated sugar. Okay, we'll repeat this procedure 3 times.
The phyllo is cut into squares and pressed into a buttered muffin pan.
And we'll bake this for approximately 8 to 10 minutes. It doesn't take that long because of the sugar between the layers helps quicken the cooking process. We'll place it in a preheated oven about 350 to 400 degrees, and we'll let that cook. While that's cooking, we'll prepare our sauce. We'll start with about a pint or so of clean strawberries, a little bit of guava jelly, a little bit of sugar, a touch of water. You don't really want too much water because the juice from the strawberries will release a lot of water, and you don't want it to be too runny. And a couple hot peppers. It's okay to leave it a little coarse because we're going to puree this up anyways and strain it. So, and we're going to let this cook. While this is cooking, we can prepare sabayon.
The sabayon begins with egg yolks.
Since we add our mojo orange juice, which is basically a sour orange, and the zest of the orange. If you don't have the mojo orange, you can always use a blend of lemon and orange or lime and orange to get the tartness that you're looking for. A little bit of a granulated sugar, and also Grand Marnier, which I had mixed with the juice. What we're going to do at this point is whip this together. So it thickens fairly thick.
The finished mixture is cooled and whipped cream was added.
Okay, we're going to fold our cream into it. We're going to start by adding a little bit to soften it up. We'll use a whip for this part of it. Okay, now we'll fold the rest of the cream in. Basically, whipped cream, lightly whipped to fairly stiff peaks. And we'll just fold this in gently.
The strawberry guava mixture is processed, strained, then put into a squeeze bottle for presentation.
What we do is we strain the sauce, and we use one of these squeeze bottles. We'll just basically pretty heavy on the plate. We take our shell, we'll put our finished Savion. Couple berries. This will be like kind of a kiwi. At this point, we're going to drizzle our chocolate sauce basically over the top of the Savion. A little bit of the zest. And then we'll finish with a light sprinkling of powdered sugar. And then last, a little bit of fresh mint. See this stick up here? There you go.
Welcome to Great Chefs, a culinary tour of the United States featuring some of the country's finest chefs.
For the starter this time, we go to Nashville and Guillermo Thomas. He prepares pan-fried soft-shell crawfish with eggplant and a savory lemon butter sauce. The entree is cooked at Norman Van Aken's restaurant in Coral Gables, Florida. It features Key West yellowtail, served with garlic mashed potatoes and citrus butter sauce. Then the dessert comes from Bacchanalia in Atlanta. Chef owner Ann Quatrano is joined by pastry chef Colleen Hilker to present an upscale Kona coffee ice cream sandwich. The executive chef at the Hermitage Suite Hotel is Guillermo Thomas, fondly known as Willie to his staff. He was born in Spain and raised in Pittsburgh. A Johnson & Wales graduate, he's cooked in Aspen and Cape Cod before coming to Nashville. His first course is fried crawfish with eggplant.
First thing we're going to be doing for this dish is slicing the eggplant rounds and salting them so the bitterness comes out of the eggplant. What you want to do is cut them on the bias, about a 1/8 of an inch thick, just like so. Salt them lightly with kosher salt. both sides.
The eggplant drains for a half an hour.
Okay, the next step is going to be to prep the soft shell crawfish. On these crawfish, what you want to do is cut the tip of the head off right behind the eyes, and then remove the calcium deposits right behind the head there. Okay, what we want to do with these is just rough chop them.
Rough chopped peeled lemons are used in a butter sauce.
Grab one large shallot, rough chop it. Throw that in the pan also. A quarter cup of champagne vinegar. 1 cup of white wine. Got a sprig of tarragon, thyme, and Italian parsley here.
Reduce the liquid by half.
For the seasoned flour, we've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour. 1/8 a cup of cayenne pepper. 1/8 a cup of Old Bay seasoning. 1/8 a cup of kosher salt. 1/8 a cup of fresh ground black pepper. 1/8 a cup of paprika. And 2 tablespoons of baking powder. Whisk everything together to incorporate all the seasonings into the flour. Once the liquid reduces by half on the lemon butter sauce here, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of heavy cream and let that reduce by half again. Okay. Next step, once the cream has reduced by half, is you want to take it off the hot part of the stove, leave it on a real low flame.
Cold butter is cubed and will be incorporated into the sauce.
Then we're just going to whisk them in a few at a time.
In all, a 1/2 pound of butter is added and the sauce is strained.
Push down on it, all the herbs and the shallots and the lemon to get all the flavor out of them. Then you want to season your sauce to taste with salt and some fresh ground black pepper. Tastes good. What you want to do with this is hold it in a warm area, not too hot, not too cool, otherwise the sauce is going to break. Ideally for us, it's right here on top of the oven.
A garnish for the dish is mixed nuts combined with caramelized sugar and butter. An eggplant slice and the crawfish go into the seasoned flour.
And just coat them with the seasoned flour. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our eggplant in, fry that for about a 1.5 minutes on each side. And put our crawfish in there. These crawfish take about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. You don't want to overcook them or they won't taste as good. Pull them out, put them on a paper towel just to drain some of the excess oil off them. So to assemble the dish, what we want to do is take our eggplant, put it in the middle. Just stack our crawfish up on top of the eggplant, give it a little height. And we'll take our sauce. Drizzle it around the plate, a little bit over the crawfish. Garnish it with our caramelized nuts. And our chive sticks.
In 1997, Norman Van Aken was named Best Chef Southeast by the Beard Society, and his namesake restaurant in the Miami area was named one of America's top tables in Gourmet Magazine's Reader's Poll. What he calls New World cuisine is a celebration of South Florida product, like Key West yellowtail.
The pan-cooked filet of Key West yellowtail is a very, very simple Key West sort of dish, and what I wanted to do there was present it with the citrus butter sauce. So I've got an orange butter that I'm going to prepare with a reduction of freshly squeezed orange juice, a little bit of champagne vinegar, some shallots, and some cracked black pepper and bay leaf. And basically what we'll do is we'll put all of these elements into a saucepan or a small saute pan for here, and we'll just reduce this down to get the flavors kind of nicely intense. Okay, for the amount of reduction we have here, we're just going to add about a half a cup of heavy cream or less. We don't want to obscure the flavors of the reduction with too much cream, but we need the liaison between the cream and the butter to hold the sauce together. We go ahead with the addition of the butter, and as ever, it's important that the butter is added just a little bit at a time, so that the butter can be incorporated without breaking.
Half a pound of butter is added and the sauce is strained. The chef prepares the yellowtail.
Okay, the yellowtail is a very delicate fish, and so it sort of needs a little protection from the heat of the pan. And one of the old ways we've done this in Key West for years was to dip it first into flour. And one thing I look for after I dip it in flour is I'll look at the fish to see if there's any scales still on it, because they'll show up a little bit better with the flour on them. They'll sort of show you themselves if you missed them before. This one's good though. And then into just a little beaten egg with a little bit of half and half. And this very golden, lacy sort of exterior later on is how the fish is presented. Back in Key West in the old days, a lot of the local people who are called conchs would eat yellowtail for breakfast. Much the way we eat steak and eggs in the Midwest, yellowtail for breakfast. One of the things I also do is when I flour the fish is I don't want too much flour on it, so I'll give it a little spank just to get the extra flour off there. Again, looking to see if there's any scales. And there's not. You can actually put the fish in the eggs like this and then cover them up 8 hours in advance if you wanted to. It's not going to be a problem for the fish. I think one of the reasons that this dish is one of the most popular dish in the restaurant is the mashed potatoes. What we've got here is a little bit of roasted garlic cloves and a little bit of heavy cream. And all we do is we just take a little bit of the heavy cream and heat them with a little garlic. And we'll set those aside. Once they're nice and warm, we'll set those aside and keep them warm in a place until we're ready to pick up the fish. I've got some potatoes which have been removed of the skins, quartered and steamed, and we keep these warm in a nice warm place, but we do not pre-mash them. Sauteing the yellowtail, it's really important that we have a hot pan, and we use clarified butter in this particular case. One of the few times I do use butter when cooking fish, but I'll show you why too. You want to put just enough butter in there to get the bottom of the pan fully coated, and you can pour back any that's not. And then you take the fish, lift it up, and take the curved side into the pan. It's important that you get that searing effect because that really is what makes the fish lock its flavors in and gives us that kind of lacy egg coating that we want. Not enough butter will cause the fish to kind of get a little sticking, so I'm going to add just a touch more. And this butter, of course, is very hot right now, so just be careful that you don't splash any toward yourself. When I flip the fish, I'll tip the pan so the butter's away from me and come onto that side right there. Once it's seared on both sides, we'll just drain off the extra butter and go ahead and go into the oven.
The temperature of the oven is about 425 degrees. The fish is warmed for about 6 minutes.
Sometimes, I mean, a lot of people won't get yellowtail snapper, so they'll get red snapper or something like that where the fish could be thicker. So, and we like to cook this yellowtail till it's just barely done. It's not served medium rare like, say, tuna or swordfish.
The citrus butter sauce is strained and the roasted garlic mashed potatoes are prepared.
We have our warm garlicky cream here. Just scoop that onto them. A little bit of butter, a little bit of salt, and I use sea salt or kosher salt, a little bit of freshly toasted and ground black pepper, and if you like, and we like, a little bit of white truffle oil, and just mash them up. If the texture's a little bit too loose, add a little bit more potato, and if it's too stiff, a little bit more of the garlic cream would be added. And you can use your potato masher or something like that. It doesn't really matter. So, we don't like the potatoes too perfect. Some people even may want to leave the skins on. Now, to make sure that the potatoes are nice and hot, once they're mashed like that for maybe 30 seconds, I toss them back into the oven while I assemble the plate. We've done a little bit of blanched and grilled asparagus spears, which go really with the citrus butter sauce very nicely. We take the mashed potatoes, still warm from the oven now, and we'll create our belly with the belly of mashed potatoes. Just put them on there like this. Spoon a little bit of the butter sauce down. A little of the potatoes too. And the yellowtail, which we're going to kind of mound over those mashed potatoes to give them that nice big fat belly we're talking about. Then I'm going to garnish with a little bit of blood orange, the blood orange is the juice of which can be used in the reduction as well if you like. And then a little bit of fresh thyme. Thyme goes well with citrus. And there it is.
Bacchanalia is a relaxed operation owned by Ann Quatrano and Clifford Harrison. They cooked in New York, and in 1990 both won Rising Star Awards from the Beard Society. In 1997, the restaurant was a gourmet top table winner. Chef Quatrano with Colleen Hilke offers Kona Coffee ice cream sandwich.
Okay, go on, you can start. Colleen is making the Kona Coffee ice cream. She's adding sugar to the heavy cream and half, as well as vanilla extract and a coarsely ground Kona coffee. We steep the coffee in the heavy cream till it comes up to a boil.
Egg yolks will be combined with the heavy cream.
And the cream comes to a boil. We're going to ladle it one ladle at a time, just to temper the eggs lightly. Pour the entire egg mixture back in to just finish the cooking process. And all I'm doing is turning this lightly. You never want to add any air to your ice cream base. I've turned the heat off, and it's just a nice thick custard. We'll strain it through a very fine sieve, and we'll freeze it.
A chocolate genoise starts by beating egg yolks and sugar until pale and thick. Bittersweet chocolate is melted in unsalted butter.
We're beating the egg yolks and the sugar until it's very light yellow and very thick, about double the volume of the original volume.
Sweetened egg whites are beaten to the stiff peak stage.
Right now she's going to fold some flour into her egg and sugar mixture. Going to fold in the chocolate mixture, chocolate and butter into the egg and sugar. Going to fold the chocolate in gently, trying not to lose any of the volume.
The last procedure will be folding the beaten egg whites into this yolk chocolate mixture.
Fold until the egg whites are incorporated. Then she's going to smooth it out onto a sheet pan that has been greased with parchment and then greased on top of the parchment as well.
The batter is smoothed and the cake is baked at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. The coffee ice cream sits atop a large slice of the sponge cake.
It's okay if it's not exact because we trim it down to size. Place it right on top. Got it?
The sandwich is cut into wedges for presentation.
A little chocolate sauce.